me, and welcome to episode 35 of The Weekly Whisper. I'm your host, Elian Habanero, and I'm here to talk all things 365 Pro Wrestling. And yes, not only is it week 35 of The Weekly Whisper, it's show week, baby! 4 days until the second event this year after the pandemic, post-pandemic shows. In Campbell River, BC at the Willow Point Hall this Saturday, September 5th, 7:30 p.m. bell time, and I can't wait to hear what's going to happen. I've already been so invested in what happened in the first show, and I know I keep calling it the first show. Just to explain, I'm talking about the first show after the whole global shutdown of wrestling, live events with crowds allowed. It's been since March since we've had any events, and then they finally did one this past August, and this is the second one. So that's what I say to me, because it just felt like such a long time. So if you keep wondering why I'm saying that, it's not the second show of all time. It's just the second show since the break that the 365 Pro Wrestling was forced into, and Dr. Walls is bringing it back in a big way, and it's this week, 4 days away. I'm going to be staying up late, finding out any information I can, trying to get the scoop for next week's Weekly Whisper, where I'm going to have as many details as possible for you, the viewers. So be sure to check in. The post-show whispers are always my highest rated ones, because everyone wants to hear about what went down, and I hope to give you as much as I can give you next week. But this week is going to be exciting too. First, let's talk about the Twitch channel. So it's kind of been the 365 Twitch channel, which I brought up for the first time last week. Their main showing day seems to be Wednesdays at 7 Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And last Wednesday they showed the Battle of the Sexes event, or according to Twitch, the Battle of the Asterisks event. And it had every match was an intergender match, and that was well received. A lot of people were there. A lot of the wrestlers, a lot of the fans, a lot of the referees, the managers, sound guys, anybody involved have been stepping up in the chat, and it's been a really wonderful environment. I noticed that when some of the wrestlers are on, some people are asking them questions, and the wrestlers have been more than happy to oblige. It's a great environment. And speaking of Twitch, the event that's coming up in 4 days here, they just finally we got to see some footage. I know there's a highlight video of the August 1st event, and they played every match live on their Twitch channel, and you can go back and replay that event, and that was one of the most viewed ones for everyone was watching. Even the wrestlers that hadn't seen their matches were there, wanting to see their matches, and it was really great. So go back, check that up while the replay lasts, and it's pretty cool because you can see the chat and how it went and everything like that. But every match from August 1st, and it's a perfect time to set you up for September 5th, so you know the reason why these people are fighting each other, and the storylines behind it, as far as why is this guy mad at this guy, why is this girl this, and everything else like that. And if you don't do the Twitch thing, the matches are now up and available on YouTube. So as well, if you're watching the Weekly Whisper, after that, go back. The last couple of videos will be the August 1st event, and every match was stellar. It's hard for me to pick a good one. I was going to do top 5 matches, but there was only 6 matches, and they were all good, and I didn't want to leave any one of them out. That was just not fair, so there's going to be a different top 5. And then if you check last week, speaking of top 5, I did the top 5 commissioners of all time in the 365 brand, and Too Magnificent Nicky Martin once again was not happy with me, and I thought maybe Tex had something to say about it. But I don't think he was upset, because I received this priority letter today. It was like UPS or FedEx to me from the desk of Jacob, because he's addressing not only the top 5 commissioners things, but if you check last week's episode, if not, go back and check it out, episode 34 of The Whisper, I was talking about how Tex and the Temple may possibly be looking at BC as a potential destination if Ontario doesn't hurry up and get going here. And so I guess Tex got his secretary Jacob to reply to me, and this is what I got. I wrote it down on my notes here. This is a direct quote from Mr. Tex Lexus from the desk of Jacob. Or no, this is a quote from Jacob on behalf of Mr. Tex Lexus, and it says, regards to possibly getting, I said, a piece of the pie in BC, and so they took that and spun it around, and it says, and I quote, "Mr. Lexus would love a piece of the BC pie, but he has been banned from the province by Premier Trevor Linden," I can't believe I'm reading this, "after he tried to start a land dispute between the British Columbians and the Columbians. This would have resulted in lowering the price of the Whistler ski resort, which Mr. Lexus was interested in purchasing. As far as the commissioner ranking that was made up by Elian goes, Tex doesn't give a rat's tail about being left off the list. He made a ton of money and had a great time doing whatever the hell he wanted in his time as being commissioner. Those that made the list know they cannot compare to Mr. Lexus, and any of those five said that and any of those five would put Tex number one." So there you have it. But I appreciate them for interacting with the Whisper Show and addressing what I said. And anybody else is free to do that. I'm always looking for newsworthy segments, and so I appreciate Jacob getting that to me, although I don't believe half of it, to be honest. And so I also, if you've been following, I've been trying to get a comment from Nolan James. He still hasn't responded. I sent him another one yesterday, and he still didn't respond. But I mean, he's got like 3 or 4 Facebook accounts, so I don't even know if I'm doing the right one. But it appears that I guess he'll do his talking this weekend. So speaking of this weekend, let's break down the card. Man, every match is really going to be good. So for the global champion Travis Williams, the Golden Boy, will defend his championship against the global women's champion Liza Hall, whose title is not on the line. This is strictly for Travis Williams' global championship. Liza Hall has a chance of walking out with 2 of the most prestigious titles in Canada as of this Saturday, so it could be a huge weekend for her. And then speaking of 2 championships, one half of Havico and Eddie Osborne, the tag team champions, Eddie Osborne has a shot at the grand champion, the old greedy bastard, OGB, Jordy Taylor. And I really wish everyone could go back and check out that August 1st event. Jordy Taylor went against Brett Matthews, and because of all this circumstances, Brett Matthews chose Eddie Osborne, which was allowed by Dr. Walls, as Jordy Taylor's opponent. And now here's something I really wanted to get into. Okay, so if Brett Matthews, so let's get into that first. Okay, another match on the card is Brett Matthews wanted a shot at Jordy Taylor once again, as he felt like the way the match ended wasn't quite fair and square. So Brett Matthews wanted a shot. Jordy Taylor said he would give him a shot if he could beat Tony Baroni. Dr. Walls approved that, and then Brett Matthews said, well, then I get to pick your opponent, and I pick Eddie Osborne. I still have not quite found out if Brett Matthews wins and then Eddie Osborne wins, does Brett Matthews get a shot at the Grand Championship, or does it just that he can get his revenge against Jordy Taylor? Is it really about the title for Brett Matthews, or is it really about defeating Jordy Taylor? That's something I haven't looked into enough, but this is my question. Why did Brett Matthews choose Eddie Osborne? Does he think Eddie Osborne will do a number on Jordy Taylor? Does he think that Eddie Osborne will lose and then Jordy Taylor will still have the Grand Championship? I'm going to try and get an interview with Brett Matthews, or, as I said, this weekend a lot of these questions will probably be answered, and I'm sure there'll be more questions to be had because of this. And then that begs the question as well. Why did Jordy Taylor choose Tony Baroni for Brett Matthews' opponent? So there's a lot going on here. And then, so Dr. Walls is obviously involved. Eric Offlegger was involved last show. We'll see if anything more comes of that. And then this is the big feud match of the night. The one that a lot of people are most anticipating. The Chairway to Hell match. Cremator Von Slasher versus Nolan James. And I had seen the highlights, But until this weekend on Twitch, where I saw the actual match between, it was a semifinals match for the Global Championship tournament between Nolan and Cremator, and Nolan was trying to throw Cremator off his game. It wasn't working. Cremator chokeslammed him almost right through the mat, and then whatever got into Nolan, him and Zach, who will be accompanying Nolan this weekend as well, did a number on Cremator's arm, which, like I said before many times, I just don't understand the reasoning behind this. Maybe they feel that they can take the Cremator out once and for all and he will never be a thorn in their side, or maybe just poor losers, but I don't think you can ever bury the Cremator for good. So that's the reason for this match, and Dr. Walls has allowed chairs, because if Nolan wants to use a chair, I guess Cremator is allowed to use a chair and get his revenge as well, so it's even odds. The rules are you can use chairs as a legal weapon, and that's going to be a humdinger. That's going to be quite a matchup. Speaking of crazy matchups, this is the one I picked as the one I was looking most forward to. I just feel like there's so much implications with 3 people in the match that it's really critical for all 3 of them as to how they'll fare in the future for 365 Wrestling. And that 3-way match is Rhea Von Slasher versus Beef Boy Elliot Tyler, who had a great match against Clay Wilson that you can check on YouTube or Twitch as well. Rhea just lost by a little bit to Liza Hall, so she's really raring to go and prove that it was kind of just a one-off, it was just a fluke. It was her first match wrestled in quite a long time. You got to remember about all this, about the winners and the losers. And then the third man in the match, or third person competitor in the match, is the Born Sinner Judas Icarus. And then the final match, we got a disturbing TJ Harley, who is not his former self, will be taking on Haviko, who is also one half of the tag team champions. It's going to be a great weekend. I'm so jealous of the people that are there to view it live. If anyone, I know one of the guys on Twitch said that he would give me like a review, and I will read it on the show if he's able to get back to me. And if anybody that's a fan there, or even some of the wrestlers have comments for me after the show happens that I could read on the next Weekly Whisper, I'd really appreciate that, and that would be great. So the top 5 this time, because like I said, I was inspired by it to make a Twitch channel because of the 365. So I made one, and I've been playing this baseball game, Super Mega Baseball, with the team I call the 365 Headbutts. So just to promote that the one time, I'm only going to do it once on the show. I'm going to do the top 5 players of the week. I've done 9 games on there, and a lot of the guys are from the past. They're not currently active with 365. They're just people that I go way back with. Changes will be obviously made. You could only get like 21 players on the roster, where there was like about 70 or 80 guys and girls that I wanted to have. But so anyway, here's the top 5 365 Headbutt players for my Super Mega Baseball team in the first 9 games. If you go to Twitch, all the videos are still up. You can go back and watch the game. It's twitch.tv/Elian Habanero, all lowercase. So at number 5, relief pitcher Mike Hart. He was a relief pitcher. He's made 4 appearances so far this season. He's got a weird like underarm, sidearm delivery, and he's been lights out. When I've had to make a pitching change, he's come in. He's only given up 1 hit, and he's really helped the team get through those final innings. So he is the number 5 player so far on the 365 Headbutts. At number 4, the only pitcher that has pitched 3 games, starting pitcher, is Super K, Super Kamikaze. He's had 3 starts. He's 2-1. He's got a huge amount of strikeouts. He's got to be amongst the league leaders in strikeouts. He's given up a couple runs, but he's always given his team a chance to win. He's done a complete game. So far, he has been my best starting pitcher, so he's at number 4. At number 3, the third baseman, Joey Allen, who suffered a hamstring injury and was out. He started off strong. He got a hamstring injury in the second game, missed about 4 games, but since he came back, he's gone crazy. He's had about 4 extra base hits, scored a handful of runs. He's got himself moved into batting 3rd in the lineup, and he's played great defensively. So Joey Allen at number 3, the third baseman. At number 2, we've got Letty Lilac, who has been so far my defensive player of the year at first base. He's been diving around everywhere, covering the bag, running the ball, doing whatever he had to do. He's never had an error. He's just been really, really consistent. And then plus that, he's hitting very good. He's been my cleanup hitter, and he's come through. He's got a nice average. I think he's only got 1 home run, but as far as average, he's one of my highest players, but not as high as the number 1 player so far on the 365 Headbutts, the right fielder Reggie Marley. In 9 games, he's got 5 home runs and 9 RBIs, and he's played great in the field, and his average is the highest on the team. So there it is, the top 5 365 Headbutts on my Twitch channel, playing on Xbox One. I'm gonna throw them up on YouTube eventually once I get like 25% of the way of the season, something like that. And then all I could ask is that you please like, or you get a leg drop, comment, or you get a clothesline, subscribe, or you get a suplex, and share, or you get a sleeper. I'm your host, Elian Habanero. I love wrestling. Cuba!